Okay, we're going to do one example here on how to really set up your own histogram. And there's a lot of data, all these numbers just collected. Let's just say there's 40 players who played on a baseball team and what their salary was in millions when they did play. And we're going to analyze this. We're going to use a histogram to represent how many players kind of fell in certain categories of salary, just to help us understand where the players fell on the team. So what we need to do is we kind of have to make a plan. That's the first step. Plan out your histogram. How wide should we make our bins be? Now remember, when I say the word bin or class, it really means bar in our minds, but for a histogram we say bin or class. So the best way to do this, in my mind, is to first of all look at what is the highest and lowest values. What's the minimum and the maximum in my data set? What I like to do is kind of subtract, I guess, and see what we've got. So my maximum value in this whole list is 14.1. And my minimum value in this list is 0.4. So I'm going to subtract those, and that's going to give an answer of 13.7. Okay, it basically says, hey, my range of values, it's basically what I found, is I found the range, high minus low. Okay, and I'm going to take my range, and you're not required to do this, but it's kind of helpful planning-wise at times, and it works nicely sometimes. I'll take my range, and I'm going to divide by 10. Okay, when I do my range divided by 10, I'll just put here r divided by 10, I'm going to get 1.37. And that's just going to kind of help me plan my bin width. It's not always perfect, but when I look at my data is all my data points have one decimal place. Okay, one number after the decimal. So I'm going to take what I did, r divided by 10, and I'm going to round that, and I'm going to go 1.4 to one decimal. There's no point in making the problem more sophisticated than it needs to be. And now I'm gonna start. I'm gonna kind of plan out my bins on my histogram. Okay, the lowest number was 0.4. Okay. And that's kind of where my starting point is going to be for my histogram, 0.4. And then this 1.4 that I calculated, which was kind of my range divided by 10, gives me a nice estimate. It doesn't have to be that number, but I'm going to use it. I'm going to go 1.4. I'm just going to add 1.4 all the time. So I'm going to add 1.4 here, and I'm going to get 1.8. And then I'm going to add 1.4 again. And then I'm going to get 3.2, and I'm going to add 1.4 again, and I'm going to get 4.6. I'm actually just going to keep doing this, and those are actually going to be what I'm going to use for my histogram and kind of the markers for my histogram. So 0.4, 1.8, 3.2, and 4.6 are really going to be the points that I'm going to have on my graph here. 0.4, 1.8, 3.2, 4.6. And if I keep going, I labeled the rest here just for the sake of time in our diagram. So what I need to do then is I'm going to have to go back to my data, and I'm going to have to calculate how many data points fall in each of these categories, in each of these bins or classes. So the first bin or class is going to be 0.4 to 1.8. Okay, and you're going to need to remember that when I do this, the 0.4 is going to be included, but the 1.8 will not. So I'm going to go back to my data, and I'm going to count how many numbers fall in that category. Okay, so 0.4 to 1.8. So here's 1. I'm going to cross them off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Hey, there's a 1.8. Please remember that should not be included here, because remember, we do include the left side. We do not include the right side when we're counting how many things go in our bins or our bars or classes. So again, we had 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There are 20 data points that fall in that category. So I'm going to have to go to my histogram here, and I have to remember, and I'm going to start to construct this histogram. It's going to be 20 tall, and right now I have a problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, well, I'm going to go off my picture here. So I'm going to go by twos in my graph. I'm just going to have to remember that I'm going to go by twos. So I have 20. So I'm going to go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then 10 more. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's going to be up to 20 right there. Okay, and I'm going to create my bin, my class. Okay, that is step one. I have my first part of my histogram. Now I need to move on. I need to look at 1.8 to 3.2. Now I have to remember when I count these, I'm not going to include the 3.2 if I see one. So I'm going to go back to my data and I'm going to start counting these data points, and let's see how many we have. Again, we're counting 1.8 to 3.2. So this time I am going to count the 1.8, but I would not count a 3.2. So let's see what we've got here. We've got 1, 2, too big, too big, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there are 13 things that are going to fall in this category, this class, or this bin. So 13, and I have to remember that I went by 2, so I'm going to go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. It would be cut right in the middle here, just like that. And there is my next bin. I think I'll slide that over a little bit. Okay. There's my next one. Now I need to look between 3.2 and 4.6, remembering I'm not going to include the 4.6. I'm going to go back to my data, 3.2 to 4.6. So let's count these, 3.2 to 4.6. Again, down here, I'm going to include this. I'm not going to include this. So 3.2 to 4.6. I got 1, 2, and that is all. So that's it. I just need to go back and this is going to be a pretty small bin, and it's only 2 people in that bin. So from 3.2 to 4.6, 2 would only be right up to here. Again, going by 2s, I'll draw my bin, and there's my bin. 4.6 to 6.0. 4.6 to 6.0. It looks like we've got a couple in here. So we'll have 1, 2, 3. It looks like we've got 3 in that bin. I'll go back to my graph here. And we need 3, so we're going to go up a half here. That's going to be 3. And again, all the bins, all these what you call bars or bins, should have all the same widths on them. And then we have 6 to 7.4. Looking at what's left here, it looks like I have one number there. 6 to 7.4 is going to have just one number. So I'll draw in that bin. And notice now there's only one data point left, and that's this 14.1. There's only one person left to account for in my graph. 14.1. That actually falls way over here in this category. So my bin is going to be way over here on the right. Now it's okay that there's space here in this histogram, because remember there's no baseball players that fell in this category right here in that range of salaries. Now, just to discuss some shape and to wrap this up, this graph is definitely skewed right. Everything is kind of stretched out on the right. The more abnormal data is on the right. Also, there's this person out here that's way different than the rest of them, and that brings up a topic called outliers, and that of course would be a lesson that I'll cover in the future in another video.